season run that you had, upsetting Stetson in the A-Sun tournament, and that propelled them throughout a summer tour to Italy and into this fall.
Not only 5 starters back for Kennesaw. The Kennesaw State Owls have come to Athens to take on the Georgia Lady Bulldogs, a team looking to improve upon last year's 18-win campaign. It's Kennesaw State and Georgia SEC Network Basketball from the Stegman Coliseum in Athens, Georgia. And good evening, I'm Matt Stewart, joined by Coach Christy Thomas-Cuddy, and welcome to another season. Optimism for Kennesaw State. They finished last year strong. They bring back 5 starters. Georgia's seeking to prove they're better than their 10th place finish predicted in the SEC Coaches Bowl.
And that's the great thing about a new season. Everything's anew, everything's fresh, and so for Kennesaw State, you want to build off the great end-of-season run that you had, upsetting Stetson in the A-Sun tournament, and that propelled them throughout a summer tour to Italy and into this fall.
Not only 5 starters back for Kennesaw State, but their top scorer, rebounder, and playmaker.
If you're building a program, you're trying to turn it around like Agnes Baronato is, you need playmakers, and she has that in Kamaya Street, Alexis Poole, and Amani Johnson. You have your returning assist leader, scorer, as well as rebounder. Can they do that tonight against the pressure defense of UGA?
Meantime, Georgia having to replace Kalia Robinson and Tasha Cole. A lot of responsibility on the shoulders of Gabby Conley this season.
Well, in Gabby Conley, you have your best three-point shooter returning, your leading scorer returning, as well as assist leader, and she did that from the 2 spot a year ago. This season, her team and coaching staff need her to be a vocal leader and lead from the point guard position.
And the junior from San Antonio, the top returning scorer for the Lady Bulldogs from last season at 12.5 points per game. 37% on her three-pointers, and her 35 minutes per game, Coach, were 4th most in the conference last year.
Well, that was my first question to Joni Taylor. Will those minutes subside? She said, nope, as long as we can keep her on the floor, she's going to be out there.
And as you alluded to, the interesting thing about Gabby Conley is where does she get her three-point shot now that she's playing the point?
And that is what Joni said today. It's been a while since she's had a point guard who has been a great outside shooter, so they have revamped the offense to fit Conley's style.
Georgia in the white wins the opening tip, and we are underway. Maya Caldwell, who Coach Joni Taylor says the best player on the team right now, and Conley will take a 3 and off the side of the rim. Here's a look at the Owls, 9-22 a year ago. Johnson, Street, Poole, Gianola, and Piccolino. Strong Steel City flavor on this Kennesaw State team, dating back to Coach Baronato's days with the Pitt Panthers. First bucket of the game, Kennesaw State. Here's a look at the Lady Bulldogs and their starting 5. Conley, Paul, Hose, Caldwell, and Stady.
And after a make, expect Kennesaw to come out in a 1-2-2 trapping press, and then expect a lot of mixing up of the defenses against this UGA offense.
Street was standing on the baseline when she grabbed the loose ball, so Georgia gets it underneath. Coach Agnes Baronato, very familiar with the Stegman Coliseum, dating back to her days as the head coach at Georgia Tech. 33 seasons overall. She's won 470 games.
And Agnes was my coach's head coach, and so I have known the legacy of Agnes Baronato since I was in college. And I got to tell you, Matt, just speaking with her yesterday, this game needs coaches like Agnes. She is all about the student athlete, developing them on and off the court.
Ryder, Georgia Tech, Pitt, and now Kennesaw State in her illustrious career. And Georgia pushes it up the floor.
And so, Matt, a key for Kennesaw State is shot selection. When they're open, they need to take them, but they've got to knock them down because this UGA team will try to run it back down on them for quick scores.
Here's Amani Johnson, the point guard for this Kennesaw State team, averaged over 37 minutes per game last season.
Matt, watching her on film as a true freshman, I was amazed at her composure, how within herself she played as a freshman. and we're just seeing her growth even here tonight as well.
You know, we talked about the illustrious career of Agnes Baronato, and it was the first time in her 33 years she had ever had a freshman as the team captain, but Amani Johnson was that a year ago.
She has only great things to say about Johnson. She said she knew and told her staff early last season this is going to be her captain, but she didn't tell the team, and her staff was a little skeptical. And then as practice continued, they were like, "Yeah, we understand now what you mean, Coach."
Amani Johnson, the ASUN Freshman of the Year last season, marking the third straight season KSU has had a player win the award.
And Matt, when you're at a mid-major, you're not going to get a complete athlete and skill player, and that's the tribute to this Kennesaw State staff right now, is that they're recruiting and developing players, and not just developing them, but they are performing at a high level, high enough to be awarded Freshman of the Year.
Here's a look at those three freshmen we were talking about, Gianola, Street, and Johnson. Carlotta Gianola is from Italy. When she arrived on campus back in her freshman year, she spoke no English. She was their tour guide when they went to Italy over the summer. Hose inside to Stady. Stady has both of the Lady Bulldogs buckets, and Georgia leads for the first time.
And that's the growth of Jenna Stady's game. Now she's getting up and down the floor, scoring in transition for this UGA offense.
Street, Dipsy Doodle, a little wild with the shot, and the foul is going to be called on Georgia. And there's Joni Taylor. She's starting season number 5 as the Lady Bulldogs head coach. 81-44. Had a lengthy discussion here courtside during the shoot-around about what being picked 10th in the conference means to her team, and she spelled it out for them. She says, what that means right now is they don't think you're going to make the NCAA tournament this year. If you want to get there, you're going to have to do something about it.
Well, I love her message to the team. No one on the outside can control our destiny. Meaning, day to day, ignore the outside noise, but what are you doing to make this team better?
Georgia was picked to finish 3rd in the SEC last season, finished in a tie for 6th. Hose with the three-pointer.
And that's what we were waiting to see all last season, was Caitlin Hose knock it down from deep. Joni Taylor and the staff have been very happy with her shooting performance to this early point in the season.
Now Street running the point. Johnson, bodies fly. Piccolino takes a wild 3. And Kennesaw State will chase it back down. No reset on the shot clock. It's down to 4. It's down to 3. And Street doesn't recognize this and didn't get the shot off in time. She thought the clock had reset. It did not, which gives us a chance to introduce one of the new rules in college basketball this year. On an offensive rebound, the clock will not reset to 30. It's going to go to 20 this year.
And that's just for pace of play. They are trying to make this a more scoring, opportunistic game at the women's level. Now,
as you take a look at the new NCAA rules, there's the shot clock rule. Defensive team fouls in the front court, shot clock will reset to 20 or stay if greater.
And when a shot goes up, the shot clock operator will immediately reset to 30. If the offensive team gathers the rebound, it'll go to 20. If the defense maintains possession, it will go to 30.
I think they're going to go back, and because Jenna Stady touched that ball as it ricocheted off the backboard. So the argument is the shot clock should have reset to 20, and it didn't.
Well, based on Agnes's comment and her facial expression right now, she obviously lost that argument. And now we're seeing Kennesaw drop into a 2-3 zone.
In the paint, Paul misses. Did you see the same thing I saw, though? I thought the shot clock should have reset.
I didn't see it, to be honest with you, Matt. I was watching the scrum for the chase out for the rebound. But I'll also say that's the bench. The players on the bench have a role as well. When that shot clock's going down, you got to count it out loud for the players on the court so they're aware.
Street being guarded by Hose. Georgia doing a really good job in their half-court defense right now, and Conley nearly came up with the steal.
And this is a concern for Joni Taylor right now. the containment man-to-man defense. Can her younger guards keep the ball in front of them? And so far, against some quick Kennesaw State players, the UGA perimeters are doing a good job.
Street with 1 on the shot clock, way off the mark, and that's going to be out of bounds on Georgia. That should have been a shot clock violation, should it not have been?
I think what the referee was saying to the UGA bench was that it was deflected out of bounds before the shot clock went off. I'm just reading lips across the court.
So we've had some shot clock indecision here in the opening 4 minutes of the game.
Well, Matt, I attribute that right now to first game of the season. You're seeing the offense not look very fluid. You're seeing some rush shots that aren't getting rim. And that puts a lot of pressure on the officials as well. This will clean up. I think both teams are going to settle in a little bit more offensively, especially.
Georgia defensively has held Kennesaw State to 1 for 6 shooting to start the game. And Caldwell with a nice soft touch off the back iron. Second three-pointer for Georgia.
And Matt, we know that was a weakness of UGA a year ago. Could they consistently knock it down from deep? Already in the first 4.5 minutes of this early season, they've knocked down 2.
Gianola is going to be fouled with the body by Georgia's Gabby Conley.
And you always want to make that extra pass. Draw a defender, set your wide open teammate up, and Maya Caldwell knocks it down from deep.
Maya Caldwell finished the season strong last year, started the final 10 games, averaging 9 points per game after averaging 3.5 points per game in the first 19 games of the season. Offensive foul called on Kennesaw State. And that's going to be on Kamaya Street. So the first of the freshmen in for Georgia now is Jordan Isaacs, post player. Out of Atlanta, St. Francis and Alpharetta checks into the ball game. And Q Morrison also comes into the ball game for Georgia.
And Matt, when I asked Joni Taylor, what's the biggest difference offensively in this team this season? She says, we have low post players. Between Stady, between Bates, and both freshmen in Isaacs as well as Nicholson, we can go down low and bang up with people and score consistently.
Yeah, they are true back to the basket post players, something Georgia has not really had. Mackenzie Ingram, Kalia Robinson, as great as they were not back to the basket post players. They were face-up post players, much like Jenna Stady has been right there on the lob pass and puts it in.
But when you're bigger than anyone else on the court, you use that height to your advantage. She kept it high off the lob pass and knocked it down. Great execution on the out-of-bounds play.
Stady has 6 of Georgia's 12 points. Reverse layup by Amani Johnson.
And Johnson may have got away with a little bit of an elbow, but I love how she used her body to protect the ball and takes it up with that reverse layup.
Amani Johnson averaged 10 points, 4.5 assists per game last season. Inside, Isaacs fumbles it and double dribbled. And our first timeout of the night. Georgia shooting 5 of 11 from the floor and out to an early 7-point lead.
Did you start the car?
Uh-huh.
Go.
Lock it, find it, start it. From anywhere with Remote Connect.
They'll try and stop you every step of the way. They've torn us apart, fractured our society, and the only way to save it is in my hands. My name is Sam Porter Bridges. It's my job to reconnect us.
PlayStation. Birthday practice! Let's get this money going with it. We're going with it. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, this was the first day of preseason practice with Stephanie Paul, the senior, front and center. You know, this thing received over 2,500 likes and over 500 retweets on social media. And Stephanie Paul, as you see right there, standing next to assistant coach Robert Mosley, one of only 2 seniors on this team. You see a year ago, Georgia 18-12, 9-7 finish in the SEC, finished as the number 7 seed going into the tournament. They returned 6 of their top 8 scores, and their signing class ranked 14th in the nation by ESPN W Hoop Girls, and 10th pick in the SEC coaches poll. Did not sit well with the team.
Well, there's only one thing to do about that. Shut up, everybody on the outside. I mean, based on a year ago, this is what coaches are going to go off of. You lose Kalia Robinson. Taja Cole transfers. They don't know what you have coming in, and that's the million-dollar question for any team. How will your freshmen perform? Are they ready to play immediately, or do they need time to develop? We're already seeing Jordan Isaacs on the court now for this UGA program.
And here's a look at that Georgia recruiting class. Chloe Chapman not with the team yet. We'll explain that in a moment. But Chavin Nicholson, 5-star also out of the Atlanta area, played at Collins Hill High School. And Jordan Isaacs, who has been on the floor, the 3-star. Actually a 3-star and the number 14 ranked forward in the country. But Chloe Chapman, who's on the soccer team, their regular season ended in the SEC tournament a couple of days ago. But there's an outside chance they could be invited to the NCAA tournament. So they expected to have Chapman here tonight, but that's not going to be the case. They're going to wait and find out what the soccer team's fate is, and do they make the NCAA postseason. So she could be on the floor next Wednesday night when the Lady Bulldogs host North Carolina A&T.
Here's what I know for sure, Matt. She's going to be in a UGA uniform next week. It's just I don't know if it's going to be a soccer uniform or a basketball uniform.
Good call on that. But an absolute phenomenal freshman season on the pitch. 6 goals for the Lady Bulldogs.
And, man, I'm not a soccer fan, but I sat and watched UGA's game on Tuesday in the SEC tournament, and I was amazed at her speed. Joni Taylor told me she's fast on fast. When I saw that, I'm like, I don't think the basketball court's going to be long enough for this young lady. She is explosive getting up and down the floor.
Really was kind of a breakthrough season for the Georgia soccer team, a number 6 seed going into the tournament, lost to the number 3 seed South Carolina 1-0. And that tournament continues on through this weekend. But she helped lead the Georgia soccer team to an upset of the number 1 seed and regular season champion Arkansas this year. And Stephanie Paul is the other 2-sport star on this Georgia team. She throws the discus during track and field season.
Matt, who was your last 2-sport athlete here at UGA before these 2 young ladies?
Oh, wow. You put me on the spot. I mean, maybe Champ Bailey ran track. Herschel Walker ran track, I think. I think there's been some football players and track players for sure.
I'm going to throw it out a little more recent and throw out our friend Maria Taylor.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Starred in volleyball, also a member of the Georgia women's basketball team. Missed by Piccolino. Jillian Piccolino, freshman guard out of Pittsburgh, one of 4 players from the Pittsburgh area on this roster. They really like her. They think she could be the 4th in a row in the ASUN Freshman of the Year category for this Kennesaw State team.
Coach Baronato said she's a shooter, and I compared her to another shooter on the team, Hoover. She goes, Hoover can shoot. Piccolino can really shoot. She expects her to be able to fill it up. And let's not forget, this is her first true Division I basketball game against a much quicker, taller UGA defense. Right now, it looks like her shots have been a little rushed. I do expect her to settle in here as this game progresses.
Lexi Mann at the free throw line for Kennesaw State.
Lexi Mann's just a workhorse. She's going to do what her team needs. She's going to rebound. She's going to set screens, and she's going to defend. And I like it already. She goes in, gets that offensive rebound, and draws the foul. And so Kennesaw settles into that 2-3 matchup again in the half court.
Kayla Hubbard out front. Shot clock winds down to 6. Down to 2, and Q Morrison, that's a three-point attempt, and hit it. Georgia now with three-pointers here in the first 7+ minutes of the game.
Well, for both coaches, I think screen on the ball defense was going to be key. That time, they force a switch, UGA does, because of the great on-ball screen, and Q Morrison just knocks down that three.
Two minutes to play in the quarter. Georgia up 10. Gianola, nice touch. Fourth basket for Kennesaw State. And 3 of them from Gianola.
And she's done it with a pull-up. She's done it down low. She's done it off the bounce. And that's what I like. When she has a taller, maybe slower player on her, she's been looking to attack them off the bounce. Otherwise, she's looked to pull them out and knock it down.
Conley with the runner. Piccolino the rebound. Head to Street. Had Gianola on the wing calling for the ball. They didn't get it to her. Gianola, the senior, turns around on Isaac, the freshman, and shot over her and missed it. Approaching 1 minute to play here in the opening quarter.
One thing to watch as this game progresses is Joni Taylor's thrown a lot of bodies out on the court so far, running in bodies in and out. And right now I'm looking at what is beginning to be a fatigued Kennesaw State team.
It's a good call. Kennesaw State has played 7 so far.
Joni Taylor told us we're going to do a lot of screen on the ball action today. There Conley just takes it baseline and draws the foul.
It was a great screen set by Stady. And Street picked up the foul, so 2 fouls on Street now. Well, I thought the foul was called on Street. Maybe it wasn't.
Well, Matt, a year ago, but between Street and Johnson, they played the most minutes in the ASUN. So my expectation is it doesn't matter if she has 2 fouls. She's going to her coach is going to ride her and try to get through a little bit later into this half in order to keep this game close.
Street has 1 foul. Conley doing what she does so well. That's shoot free throws. 88% free throw shooter last year. Only 8 misses the entire season. Poole. Rebound. That's Nicholson, the other freshman in there for Georgia now. So 2 of the available freshmen have gotten into this ball game in the first quarter. Street the miss. Conley had the rebound, knocked away. 18 seconds, and the shot clock is off for the quarter.
If you're a Kennesaw State fan, you have to be happy with your team's aggressiveness on the offensive glass. That was their 3rd opportunity to score this trip down because they stayed with every miss.
So the foul called on Nicholson, and that'll put Kamaya Street at the foul line for 2 shots.
Street is quick. That crossover into a pull-up jumper is so explosive off the move, and she's elevating.
5'5" junior guard. She's out of Mays High School in Atlanta. Team leading 16.9 points per game a year ago. And a 69% plus free throw shooter. Owls 3 of 5 at the line. Now 3 of 6. Gianola, they get a chance to turn this into a 3-point play. After Gianola got the rebound, Street working against Hubbard. Goes by her, pulls up, and didn't get the roll. And that is the end of the first quarter. Georgia shoots 44% from the floor, holds Kennesaw State to 28. 9-point lead, Lady Bulldogs.
Did you start the car? Uh-huh. Go.
Lock it, find it, start it. From anywhere with Remote Connect.
Start of the second quarter, Georgia leading Kennesaw State 20-11 here in the season opener. Matt Stewart joined by Coach Christy Thomascuddy. Coach, Georgia was a less than 30% three-point shooting team last season. They've started this season
3 for 7.
But they only average making 4 a game already in the first quarter. They have 3. What I see is a group of perimeter players who aren't just shooting it because they're open, they're shooting it to knock it down. Q Morrison, Maya Caldwell, as well as Caitlin Hose have been ready, their feet have been set, and they've done what the shooters do, and that's knock it down.
You know, and I think Coach Joni Taylor has an expectation that they're going to be better offensively this year than they have been last season. Don't know that she has that same kind of confidence in their half-court defense right now.
Hey, at the end of the night, as long as you have more points on the scoreboard, it's a good night. But defense can improve, just like offense can improve. And unfortunately for young players, and that's right now, a Caitlin Hose who was hurt a lot last year, a Q Morrison who we know can lock down defensively, but has been hampered by injuries throughout her career. And so at the end of the day, they just have to solidify defense by keeping the ball handler in front of them. And that's why, against some really quick Kennesaw State guards, I feel like UGA has done that for the most part in that first quarter.
Q Morrison, all SEC freshman back in 2018. Last year had the knee injury at the start of November, missed the first 8 games, ultimately missed 10 games because of the injury. She's been bothered by injury in this preseason as well. Street on the pull-up, and Conley the rebound. Street's 0 for 5 to start the game.
But they've been good looks. I love that she rejected the screen on the ball because the defender cheated it. But if Kennesaw State's going to win this game, she's going to have to be able to knock down those jumpers.
Conley hard to the basket is called for traveling.
So screen on the ball defense, I've talked about Caitlin Ho's feet go dead because she's getting ready to go over the screen. So Street does what good shooters do. She reads the defense, takes it baseline. Unfortunately, couldn't knock it down.
Street 50 points away from 1,000 for her career. Has 2 here tonight. 3-point mark from Hoover off the mark, and Hose up the floor for Georgia. Jump ball, possession arrow, Georgia. Maya Caldwell with 6 of Georgia's 20, tied with Stady for team high honors. Agnes Baronato, who has had a battle with breast cancer. One of the highlights a year ago, the team defeated New Jersey Tech 70-47 on Pink Day. And the team got better down the stretch.
When I asked her, I said, Agnes, you won 4 of your last 10. This is a team that only won 9 total. I said, what was the key to that? She said, they just started believing in what we were doing it the right way. And you saw their confidence grow. And she said this about their Stetson upset victory in the ASUN tournament. She goes, we knew we were going to win. When we got on the bus to go down to DeLanda, we knew we were going to win. That says a lot about the growth of this team and this program under her tutelage, that a 7 seed went onto another team's home court knowing they were going to win.
Yeah, it was just the second time in ASUN history that a 7th seed had advanced to the semifinals of that tournament. Conley with the basket in transition.
I love it. When a team is going to try to play zone in the half court, what you should do if you're a perimeter player, don't let them set up. Take it coast to coast. If someone doesn't stop you, you take it to the hole.
Georgia up 9, 2 minutes into the second quarter. Gianola got too far underneath the basket. Caldwell pushes it up the floor for Georgia. And Conley sets and buries the 3. That's her first of the season. 4 for Georgia in the game, and Agnes Baronato calls a timeout. So Georgia showing off their 3-point shooting here tonight, has bolted to a 12-point lead.
I'm on the beach, Sam. Our beach. The one where I was born. Come and find me.
PlayStation.
Did you start the car?
Uh-huh. Lock it, find it, start it. From anywhere with Remote Connect.
12-point lead for the Lady Bulldogs. 2:14 into this second quarter. Gabby Conley, 7 points on a 3 and a layup.
Well, we said in the open that Gabby Conley was going to have to be big for this team this year, and you're seeing it with her aggressive nature already. Takes it coast to coast off the bounce, and then goes back to what we've known has been her bread and butter, spots up for the 3.
Also has 4 assists in the early going of this ball game, and you know she's found her voice as you take a look at her box score and playing, you know, behind Kalia Robinson, Taja Cole, upperclassmen, and while she was a freshman and sophomore the last couple of years, you know, she kind of deferred. Coach Joni Taylor says she understands now that everything that she does on the floor is going to have a major impact on the outcome of the game she's playing.
Well, you know, a year ago she would go in between the point and the 2 along with Taja Cole, and I think it's so much easier for her now. This is her team. She's the point guard. As she goes, this team will go, and that goes for anyone when you're running the point. You've got to be a vocal leader. You have to lead through your actions as well as your words, and I love the fact that you're seeing her confidence as well. It be exuded, and her team's feeding off of it.
Hugh Morrison misses. Foul is going to be called on Poole, who just scored her first basket of the game, back down on the offensive end for Kennesaw State. Nice feed here from Street.
This is just great execution. She knows Steady's on the high side. Poole seals, great pass, great finish. But that's what good teams are going to do. Out of a timeout called by their head coach, Kennesaw comes out and executes.
Nicely done on the inbounds pass as Caldwell gets the basket.
Great read, great finish by Maya Caldwell. I'm a big believer. If you're going to play championship-level basketball, you got to score in the easy ways. That's transition, and that's definitely on out-of-bounds plays. So many teams don't execute. They go through the motions. Love that lax execution by UGA.
Gianola with the bank in. She's got 10.
And she's just taking what the defense gives her. She's been a big bright spot for this Kennesaw offense so far.
5th three-pointer for the Lady Bulldogs, and Caldwell's got 2 of them. Morrison, pardon me.
Gabby Conley, we said, has to do it all for her team. Well, now she's going to do it with only 1 shoe on her foot and gets the steal.
And her feet slipping out from underneath her.
Defense gets caught looking at the ball, and Maya Caldwell just cuts underneath it to get that easy bucket. Good dribble penetration by who else? Gabby Conley hits a wide open Q Morris in the corner for that 3.
So Conley now has 6 assists in the game, and Morrison has 2 3-pointers. And a break in the action while Conley gets the shoe back on her right foot.
I love that she didn't stop playing. She continued on defense, picks up the shoe, throws it to her team, and then keeps playing defense.
On the inbounds, Poole double team, goes up with it anyway, and 1.
Matt, when she first caught it, I thought she was too far underneath the basket, but I love the fact that she did a little power dribble to get herself out from under the basket and then takes it up strong through the contact and is at the free throw line for the and 1.
Morrison was called for the foul, number 1 on her. So Alexis Poole at the free throw line. She's out of Stockbridge, Georgia High School, there in the Atlanta area. Coach Baronato coached her mother when Agnes was the head coach at Georgia Tech. She's their top returning rebounder at 8.5 a game and 14-plus points per game from a year ago.
I'm just going to call her Miss Double-Double. She had 12 double-doubles last season, and a lot of it is just her attacking of the offensive glass.
Stady. 7th assist for Gabby Conley. She might have a double-double before the half is over.
Well, here's the thing. If your posts are going to run the floor and you're a guard, you better reward that post player. And I love the fact right now, Jen Steady's running the floor and the guards are finding her down low.
Amani Johnson, 2nd basket for her.
And so after all those threes, Kennesaw now is going into straight-up man-to-man defense.
Conley, that was a 3-point attempt. Isaacs the rebound. And Piccolino up the floor for Kennesaw State. Street on the wing. 7 on the shot clock. Piccolino. And 1, or did they call her an offensive foul?
And 1.
And 1, it's an and 1.
Here's what I loved about that offensive possession for Kennesaw. They were patient. They got the ball down low to Gianola. She reverse pivots and then hits the weak side guard and Piccolino. And as the defense is coming out at her, she just attacks the basket strong.
Three-point play for Piccolino. Kennesaw State hanging tough. Owls want to get a substitution into the game. Samina Avram, transfer from Georgia Tech, at the scorer's table, but they wouldn't let her in.
Well, I agree with that call. I don't think she was quite at the table yet when the score tried to buzz her in.
And Conley got decked by Poole.
Long offensive rebound there, and unfortunately for Poole, gets caught going for it. Well, I should probably say unfortunately for Gabby Connolly.
Yeah.
Poole is going for it as Connolly hits the floor hard. It makes you wonder, was Agnes Baronato trying to get Alexis Poole out of the game with that last substitution, or was it for someone else? Either way, now Poole goes to the bench with her second foul.
And Avram does check into the ballgame. So 20 on the shot clock for Georgia as they inbounds underneath.
Kennesaw State is extending their defense. They're getting up, trying to deny passes, and you don't usually see that when the other team is quicker than you. And right now, they've been able to disrupt the offensive continuity of UGA.
Isaacs with hustle stole it away, then got down on the deck. Jump ball called, and the possession arrow favors Kennesaw State.
Early into this game right now, I like how Isaacs play. To me, she's going to be one of those energizer players that's going to come in, get on the floor, bang around, get you some rebounds, defend, but she's going to fire up her team because of her hustle and her effort.
And she's just a freshman, but she's also already one of the vocal leaders on this Georgia team. Joni Taylor says she is the oldest of 4 sisters, and so she's not afraid to speak her mind. In fact, she's quite used to it.
As a middle child, I'll agree with that. Those older siblings always are willing to speak their mind.
Yeah, I was 3 of 4. How about you?
Middle of 2 boys.
So we get bossed around a lot. It's just kind of our life, isn't it?
Does it ever end? That's my question.
The miss by Johnson, and Stady the rebound. Ahead it comes to Conley. Georgia pushing the tempo, and 1 for Isaacs. So Isaacs with the second bucket of her career, and she'll go to the line for a chance at the three-point play now. Conley got shaken up at the end of that play after delivering the assist.
Matt, credit to Gabby Connolly. She is pushing tempo, and every point guard knows if no one stops you, you keep going. You can't allow a ball handler to get that deep out of transition. And then Isaacs just posts up on the weak side, catches and finishes.
I think Conley got kind of raked across the face by Gianola. Inside it goes to Gianola, and she throws it out of bounds. She traveled before she did that. Watch the end of the play, just the hand come down across. Actually, more than a rake, it was an elbow.
And
that's worse.
Well, I think it's probably better it was the elbow and not a finger. That would have hit her directly in the eye.
4 minutes to play in the first half. Georgia up by 10. Isaacs puts it on the floor and drives. Rebound by Avram.
And so, Matt, Gianola has been the offensive spark plug for this Kennesaw offense. She's now on the bench. Where are they going to get their point production from?
From there, Street with the three-pointer, and that's the first one for Kennesaw State tonight.
And you hope that gets her going. She's had some good looks, and now she's finally able to get one to go through the hole.
Fourth all-time meeting between these two teams. Georgia won the last meeting back in 2016, Agnes Baronato's first season with the Owls. Georgia won that one easily, 82-40, as Stady becomes the first Lady Bulldog to get to double figures.
And not to harp on a year ago, I felt like a shot would have gone off of a high on ball screen like that a year ago. Now this UGA's offense is so much more patient, and they're looking to get it in and go high-low.
Conley with the gift right in front of us. Going for the steal, had it knocked right back to her hand. She has 9 points and 8 assists. And the 8 assists, a career high. She's never had a double-double in her career. Barring some unforeseen circumstances, she's going to get a double-double tonight. And another and one here for Kennesaw State as Poole banks it in.
One thing Agnes Baronato said to me yesterday was, I say this to my team all the time. When defense amps up, offense needs to slow down. Gabby Connolly shoots a gap, gets an easy score, and then what does Agnes Baronato do? She grabs her point guard, has her walk it up the floor, and they get the ball inside the pool for a score to settle this Kennesaw offense down.
Rebound Stady. Offensive foul is going to be called on Nicholson.
That's an experienced versus an inexperienced player. Nicholson comes down, Poole's already established, she makes a little contact, Poole did a great job of selling it and draws the foul.
Monty Johnson walks it up the floor for Kennesaw State. They're down only 9. Street, the pull-up. And off the hands of Kennesaw State. So at the end of the first quarter, Kennesaw State was shooting 28%. They've raised that to 43%. And Hubbard underneath with the left-handed scoop.
And that's one thing in shoot-around today I saw is where this UGA coaching staff are now taking players like Hubbard, Stephanie Paul, Maya Caldwell, and they're going to take them and put them on the block if they have the right matchup to be able to use the versatility of certain players on this team.
Poole didn't want to dribble. And Conley got fouled by Poole. That'll be foul number 3 on her.
This play gets called in from the bench, and they go high-low because Hubbard has a mismatch on the block, and then Caitlin Hubbard just does a little drop step to the basket to score.
Poole fouled out an unbelievable 13 times last season. The aggressiveness you love, but it's got to be a controlled aggressiveness. Fouls such as the one we just witnessed, you just simply can't afford to do those things.
Well, I'm just going to say, as a basketball fan, I hope she doesn't foul out tonight because she adds a dimension to this Kennesaw State team with her rebounding and her ability to score off the bounce.
Second three-pointer for Conley. She now has 12, and she's Georgia's leading scorer.
All I'm going to say is whatever Gabby Connolly had for pregame meal today, she should keep doing it. Jen Stady protected the paint in such a great way a year ago. Nice to see her pick it back up. Uses her length versus trying to leave her feet to block shots.
Stady was number 5 in the conference last year with 48 total blocks. Lob inside. Nicholson had it swiped away by Street.
Nicholson can't afford to put the ball on the floor down there with so much defensive traffic around her.
Street having a tough night from the floor, 2 of 9 now shooting.
And I love this. Gabby Conley goes to get the ball because as the point guard, she knows they want to get the last shot of this half.
There's a difference of 1 second in the shot clock and the game clock. Another three-pointer, and Conley hits her 3rd of the game. 7 total for the Lady Bulldogs. Johnson and Georgia will take a 15-point lead to the locker room. Gabby Conley, all-SEC second-teamer, a young lady Georgia will count on a lot this season with a really nice first half. 15 points, 8 assists in 20 full minutes of action. And Georgia up double digits as we head to the break.
They'll try and stop you every step of the way. They've torn us apart, fractured our society, and the only way to save it is in my hands. My name is Sam Porter Bridges. It's my job to reconnect us.
PlayStation.
Did you start the car?
Uh-huh.
Go, 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 go.
Lock it, find it, start it. From anywhere with Remote Connect.
Welcome back. It is halftime at the Stegman Coliseum. One of the players that Georgia Lady Bulldogs fans are waiting to get a look at on the basketball court is one they've been watching all season on the soccer pitch, and that's Chloe Chapman.
In today's culture, a lot of parents are specializing their kids to play one sport growing up. Was it ever even in your mind to just specialize just playing one sport?
Never. My parents introduced sports to me at a very young age, and they've always supported me and always wanted me to be active, and I loved being active. Like, I ran track also, so I was doing 3 sports at a pretty young age, and then I stopped running track and just committed to soccer and basketball, and since then it's been my entire life.
We knew there would be some challenges logistically for Chloe, with time management and those type things, but she's handled it really well. It's something she's always done, so we thought, hey, let's give it a try, and she's been great from both aspects. I think from doing well academically, her time management, also, connecting and growing with 2 different teams. I think it's difficult. It says a lot about her as a person.
What made you decide that you wanted to play 2 sports in college?
Well, in high school, it was kind of getting towards the end, of my junior year. I was still deciding on what school to go to. I was like, I've been playing both of these sports my entire life. I can't just pick one. Are you gonna play both? People kept asking me, and I just realized that I think I'm actually capable of doing this. So then I pretty much set my mind to it, and since then it's been the best decision I've ever made.
Set her up. Here's Chapman. Chapman one-on-one. That's what gets past the keeper. Give her 2.
As a team, figuring out we recognize a distinctive skill set she has, and we need to play to her strengths, and our players are learning more about her as a player and a person each day, and I think it's really gone well. It's obvious that the contribution she's made, on the field, everybody sees, but I think behind the scenes, just how well-liked she is within the team.
I remember the first time I saw Chloe, I was on the sideline, and someone played her the ball, and she just goes zooming by everyone, with this blazing speed, and I turned to someone and I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be good.
It's not often that you have a student athlete who wants to pursue 2 sports, and so right now we're just there to support her any way we can. But I saw athleticism, I saw great instinct, which is some of the same things that she displays as a point guard when she's playing for us, and just the camaraderie she has with her teammates. She's just got an infectious personality. It seems that everyone loves her and has gotten to know her really well and play off of her, and she brings the same energy to us when she's on the court.
She's very humble. I don't even think she knows how good she is, but she steps on the field and she's just selfless on and off the field, and she's just a great teammate. Hey Dog Nation, we just got off a train in Venice and now we're on a private boat tour. See you later.
How do you balance having 2 programs that you're a part of?
Yeah, over the summer it was I was with basketball because we went to Italy. Then once we got back, then I transitioned into soccer. So I had already developed chemistry with the basketball team, And then once I came over to soccer, like they were also really welcoming. I'll have practice with them, then I'll go like training table with basketball. So it's like I try and see both teams and just like make sure I'm not like losing any chemistry. I just want to make sure that I'm being a part of both teams whenever I can.
What gives you that confidence to make an impact on a team immediately?
Just coming in and knowing that like I want to be a part of something bigger than myself really gives me a lot of motivation. I just enjoy both teams. Like I have two families here, so it's like they're really welcoming and they really make me want to be here.
Her speed, it's ridiculous how fast she is. We try to go to her games as much as we can just to support her and see her out here doing her thing.
Victory over Missouri 5-1 here in Columbia, Missouri, as they notch their first SEC win of the year.
And I know that coming here as a freshman, I want to be a part of something bigger than myself, and I was just really excited to come and help this new team and be a part of a new family.
Boy, my question is, do you run faster dribbling the ball in basketball or dribbling it in soccer?
I think the same. About the same.
Good answer. Chloe Chapman, the freshman, with goals in the 76th and 82nd minute. She gets the Gatorade shower. A 5-1 win for Georgia.
The explosion on the sidelines when she scored was incredible. The kids came off the bench and half of them were already on the field. We had to pull them back. They were just so excited for Chloe. That was after the first goal. And then the second, I mean, I think there was no holding them back. It was really great to see them, you know, embrace Chloe. And there were several players jumping around her and really excited for her. And she was just as cool as she could be. It speaks volumes for how well respected she is, and she goes about working on her craft every day and does it in such a humble and hardworking way that it's really rewarding to see.
She's a part of two different teams. What advice have you given her on managing both?
Be where your feet are. Be where your feet are. You're a soccer player right now. That's what you are. You are Chloe Chapman that plays soccer at the University of Georgia. And at the end of October or November, hopefully, because they'll, make it to the NCAA tournament, when November comes and their season is over, you will be a women's basketball player at the University of Georgia. So you can't worry about what we're doing. I'm glad that you miss us. We miss you too. But be where your feet are. Be present in the moment.
I definitely just want to make the program stronger, just be a really good asset to both teams, and definitely win championships on both teams.
They'll try and stop you every step of the way. They've torn us apart, fractured our society, and the only way to save it is in my hands. My name is Sam Porter Bridges. It's my job to reconnect us.
PlayStation.
Did you start the car?
Uh-huh.
Go, 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 go.
Lock it, find it, start it. From anywhere with Remote Connect.
Georgia Lady Bulldogs not the only dogs putting on a show. The halftime festivities here at Stegman Coliseum. Here in the Stegman Coliseum, it's halftime. Georgia leading 46-31. Matt Stewart joined by Coach Christy Thomas-Scudder. We started the night talking about Gabby Conley and a lot of responsibility on her shoulders, and she's up to it.
She has answered the bell in a big way, and she's done it in a variety of ways. I love that she's maintained her composure, whether it's been on offense or defense. Definitely the leader of the UGA team tonight.
Yeah, Kennesaw State kept it under double digits for most of the first half until a late spurt by Georgia. And Gianola, a big first half with 10 points and 5 rebounds.
She's been steady, as a senior should be. She's taken it off the bounce. She's used her body. She's used shot fakes in order to elevate and knock down shots. She's been a consistent scorer for Kennesaw in that first half.
Meanwhile, how about Conley in her first half? 15 points, 3 3-pointers, already tied her career high with 8 assists.
Well, the transition, she's pushing tempo. She finds her teammate there for one of her 8 assists. And then she says, hey, if I spot up, make sure I'll give you the assist by knocking it down. But what I love is she's also done it on the defensive end, and she has been consistent in all facets of the game so far.
As you take a look at the halftime stats, and Georgia's shooting a nice 49%, right at 49% from the floor, and right at 47% on their threes.
It's been great. I mean, the only thing I'll say right now is Coach Taylor and her staff wanted more opportunities to get to the free throw line. It's a double-edged sword because they knocked down so many shots. But I love the in and out perspective of this UGA team. They sent the ball down low, but they've also knocked it down from deep.
And Conley with her 15 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists. She's never had a double-double in her career. She's got a great chance at doing that tonight. She's also 5 of 10 from the floor, and 3 of 6 on her threes.
It's one of those things, what more can you ask from her? But you're a point guard, so there's a lot more. You've got to continue to push tempo for your team and get the ball in the right place at the right time to help your team on offense.
Now, remember in the first half when you put me on the spot and you asked about 2 sport athletes at the University of Georgia? Well, you set off a bunch of suggestions, getting flooded on Twitter with these suggestions. But I've got one, and I'll drop the mic. Champ Bailey. He ran track at Georgia and, of course, played a little football, too.
You are my UGA trivia man on all facets.
And we're on this topic because of that young lady right there who will be joining the women's basketball team as soon as the soccer season is over, and that's Chloe Chapman. And Stephanie Paul, who also throws the discus. And I was reminded that Kamaya Street also runs track for Kennesaw State.
Watching Street get up and down the floor, that does not surprise me whatsoever.
Not at all. She's definitely a sprinter. She's got incredible quicks, and she has displayed that. She actually runs hurdles in track. At times, I think maybe she's gone a little too fast, been maybe a little too anxious to score. Caldwell. 4th basket for Caldwell. She's now in double figures with 10.
She just looks so much more confident and comfortable in offense compared to a year ago. I felt like a year ago she was open. Oh, I'm supposed to shoot. Right now, she's doing the work before the ball hits her hand. There, she sees the defender go under the screen, so just elevates and knocks down the jumper.
Poole out there with 3 fouls. Gianola in and out. And last touch by Kennesaw State. Georgia, the first of 6 consecutive home games to start their 2019-20 schedule. 3-second violation on Georgia.
Well, Paul's defender just backed all the way off of her to help minimize the ability to get it inside the Stady. Stephanie Paul's just got to raise up and knock that shot down.
That's just the 5th turnover for Georgia. And Kennesaw State's committed only 6, and a nice give and go, and 1 for Poole.
Poole has done a great job of getting Jen Stady on her high hip, and the guards have led her to the basket. Weak side slow to get there. Paul gets called for the foul. Poole to the free throw line.
And Poole now in double figures, or can with her next basket. She's got 8 points and 3 rebounds.
I have a feeling Poole's one of those players as a coach. You pick up the stat sheet at the end of the night and you're just amazed because she silently just kind of keeps doing the little things, getting your rebounds, getting points here and there, and before you know it, there's your double-double.
Now, one of the things I will say about Kennesaw State, and I believe they got a great opportunity to be much improved in the ASUN this season over last year's 4-12 finish, is they've got great size. You typically don't see a lot of mid-majors coming here to play Georgia that has this kind of size.
They have size, they have speed, and they have shooters. And so when you can get that mixture, you can open up a lot of different things on offense. And I love this right now. Agnes Baronato is basically going offense and defense here early in the 3rd quarter for Poole to try to keep her on the floor. Give her the opportunity to help her team score, and if she can get her out, she's getting her out before she can foul on defense.
4th season for Agnes Baronato as the head coach. She's got all her own players now. I wouldn't bet against her.
She is a program builder. This is her 3rd building opportunity, and you see the growth of this program since she's taken over.
They've got to be extremely happy at what Baronato is doing with this program.
And Matt, we spoke with Agnes before the game, and it was really touching just to see her players come over and hug her. You can see the love and respect, and it goes both ways, from player to coach, coach to player.
Conley the miss. That's her 4th miss from behind the 3-point line. And a foul underneath.
I thought Piccolino was going to get the block from her bottom. She was on the floor, gets called for the foul, but made a swipe at the ball.
There you see the breakdown of Agnes Baronato's 33 seasons as head coach. Started out at Rider, then came to Georgia Tech and built that into an NCAA tournament contender, and then went to Pitt and was there for a decade. Really loves Pittsburgh still and has continued to maintain her coaching and recruiting ties to the area, by evidenced by the fact they've got 4 players from the Steel City on this Kennesaw State roster.
Well, one thing about Agnes is she's a people person. She lights up a room when she walks in. You know her personality is larger than life, and she's going to make you feel like you're the most important person in the room. And so when she leaves an area, she leaves it better. And those relationships don't go away, and it's evidenced in her recruiting prowess, as we're seeing from all the players she's getting, continues to get from Pittsburgh.
Street continues to struggle, 3 for 11 from the floor. And she's just playing really fast, and Georgia's one of the reasons why she's playing really fast. Just has not been able to hit her scoring stride as she typically does, although she does have 9 points, just hasn't been an efficient 9 points. Paul inside the arc, way off the mark, and Piccolino the rebound.
Well, with Street, she's trying to be faster than her opponent. I would love to see her do a little change of speed because, as I've said earlier, she's explosive. Get that defender's feet to go dead and then look to attack.
Piccolino with the three-pointer, just the second for Kennesaw State.
I'll say this about Kennesaw State. Every time I think UGA is in a position to really distance themselves, they hang tough, Kennesaw does. They knock down a big shot or they get a defensive stop.
I mean, look at the scoreboard right now. That's all you need to know to see how far this program has come under Agnes Baronato. When they came here back in 2016, she was in her first few weeks as the head coach of the Owls. They got beat by 42. Look at it this. They're down 10 right now, almost halfway through the third quarter.
Well, I asked Agnes, what do you want to get out of this game? She goes, I want a couple of moments that are important to our team, and we're seeing that in a big way early in this third quarter.
Did you start the car?
Uh-huh. Lock it, find it, start it. From anywhere with Remote Connect.
They'll try and stop you every step of the way. They've torn us apart, fractured our society, and the only way to save it is in my hands. My name is Sam Porter Bridges. It's my job to reconnect us.
PlayStation.
Kennesaw State has outscored Georgia 8-3 here in the opening 3.5 minutes of the second half.
Well, UGA has struggled to take care of the ball with 3 turnovers. Meanwhile, Kennesaw is getting hot. Doing a good job going inside and out. Poole with the seal and gets the and one. And then Street with a little runner off the bounce. And then Piccolino, the freshman, knocking it down from deep.
Yeah, Georgia had committed only 4 turnovers in the first 20 minutes. They come out and commit nearly that number in the first 3+ minutes.
Well, I feel like they've looked very disjointed on offense. UGA has turnovers, but even shot selection at times. They just need to get in the flow. And I really like that timeout by Joni Taylor.
Gianola still the only player in double figures for the Owls with 10 points on 5 of 10 shooting and 5 rebounds. Poole with 9 and Street with 9. Meantime, Amani Johnson, who averaged 10 points per game a year ago, has only 4 here tonight. Had it knocked away from Conley. And a foul on Street, and that'll be number 3 on her. So now Poole and Street both have 3 personal fouls.
Not ideal for Street to pick up her 3rd. However, that was going to be a transition bucket for UGA had she not fouled. So I'm okay with that foul. Now if she fouls out later, I'm going to be like, oh, she should have fouled then. But I think it prevented an easy layup for UGA. So Kennesaw State is getting up the line. They're denying that entry pass, and that's made UGA very stagnant in getting into their half-court offensive sets.
Stady came over the top of Abram and tied it up, and the possession arrow is pointing in favor of Kennesaw State.
Isaac takes it off the bounce, and no one puts a body on the tallest player on the floor, Jen Stady, so she just goes after the ball, ties it up, but unfortunately the possession arrow goes to Kennesaw State.
So another Another chance for the Owls to cut it under double digits. Lob inside, Gianola missed the bunny. The follow and the put in. And Poole now the leading scorer with 11 for Kennesaw State.
High-low action, and after Poole makes the pass, no one puts a body on her, so she just goes to the glass and gets the rebound putback.
Lob for Stady. The tip came to her and an easy basket for Jen Stady.
So for both ball clubs right now, they're getting caught on the high side, on the high-low, and weak side help has been late to get there. Poole imploring her teammates to come and help.
Stady 12 points, 7 rebounds. Errant pass from Poole, stolen by Caldwell. Caldwell drops it off for Hose. Rebound Piccolino, street across. Offensive foul on Gianola, and that's number 1 on her.
Gianola comes down out of transition and gets called for a hook there. Agnes Bernardo then fighting for her player, gets warned by the official. So now she switches over to Tim Daly to tell him.
She's letting Timothy Daly hear it right now. Conley dribbling against Street, now gets it to Stady.
That's one thing I would love to see from the perimeter of UGA, giving Jen Stady cleaner low post passes. They've tried to get the ball into her a number of times, and either the lobs have been too low or they've led her away from the paint.
Foul on Isaac setting the screen, and that'll be the 3rd personal foul on the freshman. 4.5 minutes to play here in the 3rd quarter. Kennesaw State has outscored Georgia 10-5 in the first 5 minutes of this half.
They'll try and stop you every step of the way. They've torn us apart, fractured our society, and the only way to save it is in my hands. My name is Sam Porter Bridges. It's my job to reconnect us.
PlayStation.
Jenna Stady with 14 points in the game, 12 points and 7 rebounds.
And she only averaged 7 a year ago, but what she's doing a great job of is presenting herself to her guards. There on the out-of-bounds play, she gets the little lob. She's getting up and down the floor in transition, getting early seals for the easy 2 points. Everything's been easy for her right around the basket.
Of course, Jenna Stady was the #1 recruit in the state of Georgia as rated by ESPN back in 2016 when she originally signed with Maryland. She was the Gatorade Player of the Year, came back to the state of Georgia after a sit-out year last year, now in her 2nd season with the Lady Bulldogs.
I think a credit to Jenna is that she looks like she's in the best shape of her life. All last year, she almost looked like a freshman because she didn't play much at Maryland. So she was learning not only a new system, but really how to play the low post position at the highest level here in the SEC. And the thing I love most is I thought last year, Jenna settled for a lot of three-point opportunities. Instead of going down low when she was taller than her defenders, what we're seeing tonight is she's taking advantage of her height advantage and getting the ball in the low block where defense cannot stop her.
8 on the shot clock. Inside, a whistle. And a 3-second violation on Georgia. Foul trouble for Kennesaw State. It starts with Street with 4 personal fouls, and she is out there on the floor. Don't expect her to come off unless she fouls out.
Well, if anything, it's going to be more offense and defense substitution like what Agnes Bernado's doing with Poole. Every defensive possession, she's getting Poole out of the game and then trying to sub her back in for offense.
Monty Johnson on Caldwell, left it short. And Stady got the rebound, tied up, possession arrow Georgia.
And so here comes the substitution for Poole now to get her off. Defense comes in to avoid Poole picking up another foul.
And Poole has 3 personals. And now Street will come off the floor as well with her 4 personals, and Hoover checks in. Isaacs left alone, took the shot.
And so the high post for UGA is going to have to knock down that shot because they're not guarding it. They are playing off in order to try to prevent Jenna Stady from getting the ball down the low block.
Inside, Gianola. Basket number 6 for her. Turnover, Georgia. Owls down only 8. That's Hoover who just checked in for Street.
You made a comment that Johnson's been quiet offensively, but I want to give this young lady credit because she's been steady against some really high-pressure defense of UGA, and it's got her team in an offense and allowed them to settle in and stay in this game.
And a shot clock violation right there for Kennesaw State. Yeah, Monty Johnson with 4 assists, 4 points. And they've been up on her the entire game. She's had only 2 turnovers to go along with her 4 assists in 27 minutes of action.
And you've seen Gabby Connolly defend her tight. Then you go over to Q Morrison, and they're just going to try to throw a fresh body at her to wear her down.
Conley, that's a 2-pointer for her. She has 17.
I mean, at this point, you cannot go under an all-ball screen on Gabby Connolly, as Kennesaw State just did, and Gabby did what she should have. She read the defense, knew she was open, and knocked it down. Seeing a little flex action from Kennesaw now on offense, just constant screening.
Foul on Gianola. That's going to be number 2 on her.
So, man, I think these last 2 minutes of this quarter are really critical for Kennesaw. They've got to stay sharp on both ends of the court and make sure that they can keep this to within 10 points going into that 4th quarter.
So the timeout called by Agnes Baronato gives Joni Taylor also an opportunity to huddle up with her team. And Kennesaw State has outscored Georgia 12-7 in this 3rd quarter. Any thoughts from the Patriots here at Stegman Coliseum that Georgia would pull away in the 2nd half? Has not happened yet after Georgia finished the 1st half with a flourish and opened up a 15-point lead at the break.
Well, talking with Agnes yesterday, she said, my greatest concern is when my kids walk in Stegman, are they going to be in awe of all the banners? She goes, we don't even have a banner at Kennesaw State. Well, I think check Kennesaw positively is that they have not been in awe, they have battled. And I'll say it again, she said we want a couple of moments that we can go back to when we watch film and say, hey, we did this well. Well, again, check mark for Kennesaw State because they've done a lot of great things here this evening.
38th season of basketball for the Kennesaw State ladies. Georgia in their 47th season of college hoops.
And Kennesaw comes out in zone out of that timeout.
Caldwell, or actually that's Paul in the paint, and Stady had the offensive rebound, got fouled on her putback attempt.
So they do a little post-to-post offense between Stady and Paul. Paul can't finish, but Stady, being the good teammate, cleans it up for him.
So the first free throw attempts of the game for Stady, and here come the substitution. Poole comes in for Kennesaw State, so does Street. So Agnes Baronato getting her top 2 scores back on the floor for this upcoming offensive possession.
And to be the first game of the year, I give these Kennesaw players credit that the offensive defensive substitutions that we've seen for the better part of this half have not hurt them. They've stayed in a flow, they've stayed mentally engaged. And hey, if I'm an offensive player, I'm loving this.
So Stady with the free throws, 64% free throw shooter a year ago. Georgia back up to a 12-point lead. Lady Bulldogs 6 of 8 at the foul line. That's one of the things that Joni Taylor would like to see more of, more free throw attempts this season, somewhere in the range of 15.
Well, she told me 20.
On the high end, I was getting ready to say 15, but on the high end, 20 would really be their target number. 3-pointer for Caldwell. 8 3-pointers for the Lady Bulldogs, and the lead is back to 15.
Well, I have bad news for Joni Taylor. When you're knocking it down from deep the way UGA is tonight, you're not going to get to the free throw line very often.
Poole inside, lost it out of bounds, but it was last touched by Georgia.
What hasn't Gabby Conley done tonight? She gets the ball down quick. Q Morrison skips it ahead. Maya Caldwell just spotting up, ready to knock it down.
So Caldwell with 13 points. She scored 15 last year against Ole Miss in that end-of-season stretch where she started 10 games.
Well, the coaching staff's been very high on Caldwell.
Yeah.
Said she had an amazing summer, was the best player in Italy for this team, and has been the best player this entire fall in practice and in their closed scrimmages.
Traveled on street. That'll be turnover number 3 on her and the 13th for the Owls. Yeah, Caldwell has been their leading scorer in all of their games that they have played, whether they be scrimmages or exhibitions.
And 3 games in Italy as well.
In fact, Joni Taylor got a chance to scout Agnes Baronato's team while they were in Italy. The 2 teams had trips that coincided.
I just don't understand why we didn't just get to go over there and call this game.
That's the first thing I asked Joni. Y'all played games, right? We weren't on television? Inside to Johnson. 3rd bucket for her.
And I know we won't see it a lot this year, but here we have Caitlin Hose now moving over to the point guard position as Gabby Conley gets a break to end this quarter.
Difference of 8 seconds, game clock, shot clock here in the 3rd quarter. Inside to Stady, turns around to face the basket, and the rebound by Hoover. Plenty of time for Kennesaw State to get a good scoring opportunity here. Long half-court shot with 7 seconds. She didn't realize how much time was left. Caldwell back the other way, nails the 3. And that's a critical mistake right there by Johnson, not realizing there were still 7 seconds left in the half. Left the door open for Georgia to come back the other way, bury a 3, and turn what was a positive 3rd quarter for Kennesaw State into a 16-point lead for Georgia headed to the 4th.
Did you start the car?
Uh-huh. Lock it, find it, start it. From anywhere with Remote Connect.
I'm on the beach, Sam. Our beach. The one where I was born. Come and find me.
PlayStation.
So Georgia with a 16-point lead as we start the 4th quarter. Matt Stewart along with Coach Christy Thomas-Cuddy. And just a unfortunate mistake for Amani Johnson not to realize there was still plenty of time on the clock. Potentially could have been down 10. Instead, they're down 16 going to the 4th.
Well, Kennesaw gets the ball with 11 seconds to go, and coaches preach time and score all the time. Fortunately for UGA, Maya Caldwell's very well aware of how much time is left on the clock, pulls up at the 3, and knocks it down. And what's so heartbreaking about that, if you're a Kennesaw fan, is that's a 6-point swing.
Yep.
And more importantly, as a coach, that was a chance to steal momentum back for Kennesaw going into that break.
Maya Caldwell with 16 points, 3 rebounds, a couple of assists, 6 of 7 from the floor, including 3 of 3 behind the 3-point line. This is the most points she's scored since she scored 20 against Howard her freshman year. Piccolino and the rebound for Caldwell.
So if you're UGA right now, you want to come out, you want to execute, make sure you're getting a good shot and crash the glass. Try to extend this lead and really try to crush the hopes of Kennesaw State getting back in this game. Flip side for Kennesaw, you got to get a stop, score, stop.
Nicholson missed up close. And the rebound for Poole. High pass from Poole. And a rash of turnovers here for Kennesaw State. That's their 5th in the last 4+ minutes of action.
I think some of that is, in that position, Street's not on the court, so you've got different players playing different positions. I felt like at the end of that third quarter, Street especially had 2 of those turnovers, was just pressing, trying to do too much. Instead of letting the offense work for the team, she was trying to force the offense.
Conley, long 3. 4th three-pointer for Gabby Conley. She has 20.
When you're feeling it, you're feeling it.
Georgia 10 3-pointers tonight. Gianola with the left hand. And the rebound, Paul. She traveled. Extra step there by Kayla Hubbard.
And it's early in the season. Every coach is still teaching, still trying to help their players get better, move forward, because it's a long season ahead of everyone right now. Matt, one thing I'm even seeing from Kennesaw's offensive execution right now, it's slowed down. It's a little disjointed now. I think some of that's fatigue. They have battled so hard, and to be the first game of the year for them, you can just tell a little bit of fatigue has set in. They had an exhibition last weekend against a Division II team. They played extremely well, but that team was nowhere near as athletic and quick as this UGA team.
They have 4 players that have played 28+ minutes tonight compared to Georgia with 3. And Georgia's been able to spread out their minutes a lot more evenly than Kennesaw State has been able to.
When you think about even the low post for UGA, they've subbed in Nicholson, they've subbed in Isaacs, they've had Stady. They just keep running in bodies. The only position they really haven't run a lot of bodies in has been at the point, and why would you with the way Gabby Conley's playing tonight?
Hoover with the left-handed bank shot. First basket for Hoover.
Hoover has been known as a 3-point shooter for this Kennesaw team, but instead she puts it hard on the floor and gets to the rim out of transition to get the 2 for Kennesaw.
Meantime, back on this other end, Poole is called for a 5th and final foul. So Poole is done, finishing with 11 points on 5 of 8 shooting and 1 of 3 at the line in 21 minutes. Nice feed from Caldwell, but they didn't get the basket. Stephanie Paul owes her for that.
Stephanie Paul's just looked, I'm not going to say off balance, but she hasn't looked in sync tonight. She's missed a number of gimmies throughout the game.
Yeah, she's 0 of 5 in 13 minutes of action.
And in her defense, she struggled with a knee injury. They came back from Italy. She didn't do anything throughout the month, from August when they got back until the first day of practice. So she's still getting her game legs underneath her as well.
And that's been problematic for her entire career. You can see she's got the bulky brace on her left knee. She wears the sleeve over her right knee and leg.
Well, last year I remember she didn't practice most of the time. She was on the bike, and yet she never could get into a flow from a team perspective. So then they started practicing her more, and that's definitely what they're doing this year. But Poole needs no practice as she gets yet another basket down low.
Well, pardon me, because I had announced that she had picked up her 5th personal foul, which I thought she had, but apparently she had not, because she's still in the game with 4 personal fouls and now at the line for a chance at the N1 situation.
I'm going to guess if this ball goes through the net, she's going back out again.
Well, any chances for a Kennesaw State comeback would rest on her ability to stay in this game and not get DQ'd, along with Street. Street also has 4 personal fouls. She stays on the bench as Kennesaw State goes back on defense. And Nicholson, first basket of her collegiate career.
Great read by Nicholson to pop off the block as the dribble penetration came at her. She's wide open as the defense rotated to the ball.
Piccolino air ball in the three. Kennesaw State 2 of 9 on threes. Hubbard gets back and bounces it to Caldwell for the easy basket. Timeout for Agnes Baronato.
When fatigue hits, the first thing to go is transition defense. A missed three leads to UGA getting the ball out in transition, and Maya Caldwell is there to finish.
Did you start the car?
Uh-huh.
Go, 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 go.
Lock it, find it, start it. From anywhere with Remote Connect.
They'll try and stop you every step of the way. They've torn us apart, fractured our society, and the only way to save it is in my hands. My name is Sam Porter Bridges. It's my job to reconnect us.
PlayStation.
Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central, the SEC Nation traveling pregame show will be in Tuscaloosa for number 2 LSU versus number 3 Alabama with Laura, Marty, Marcus, Paul, and Tim as they break down everything from the gridiron to the grill for Week 11 of the college football season. SEC Nation is presented by Regions Bank right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. I have no idea why they would be in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. Which, of course, is the alma mater of Joni Taylor. At the time, Joni Caldwell, who was a star player for the Crimson Tide in her day.
In that last picture, Joni was invited to hang out with the Spike Squad at the Kentucky game earlier this year here at UGA. And I give the coach credit through pouring rain, and I think it was about 40 degrees that night. She stayed throughout, was painted up, stayed there, and cheered on her beloved Bulldogs throughout the game.
And I called her Joni Caldwell, Joni Crenshaw, her maiden name, when she was playing at the University of Alabama. Poole, spin move, bank shot, nicely done by Poole.
I asked Agnes yesterday what area Poole's game has improved, and she said her ability to score. She came in as a freshman, super athletic, but her skills lagged behind. And what we're seeing now is that athleticism and skill really meeting in a perfect marriage, as she's been very much under control on the offensive end today, taking what the defense has given her.
She's their leading scorer with 16 points on 7 of 10 shooting. She's hobbled right now. Might have twisted her ankle or something running down the floor, but she's moving very gingerly. Didn't affect her on that shot right there. She's got 18 points.
Well, and right now, if you're Nicholson, you got to pop off when you get caught behind, because all Poole's doing is feeling the defender's body and going right around her to get to the rim to score.
Georgia not able to pull away from this game Kennesaw State team. Conley missed the floater, got fouled on the play. Let's see who's going to get whistled for this one. Poole is looking to the bench to see if she's going to come out here.
So Nicholson is on Poole. Poole feels her more on the inside, so she drop steps to the baseline. And then she just unfortunately steps on Hoover's foot, running down in transition. She's a little hobbled, but gets into the offensive play, gets into the post, feels the defender, and once again, turns and scores.
Conley with 21. This is the 6th 20-point game of Conley's career. Still stuck on those career high tying 8 assists, all of them in the first half.
Here's what I see. For as long as UGA has not had a true scoring point guard, something tells me recruiting-wise, they're going to keep looking to get these scoring point guards after the game Gabby Conley's had tonight.
Without about it. 22 points, 7 of 14 shooting, 4 of 8 on her threes, 4 of 4 at the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. She has been a stat stuffer tonight.
And what's not going to show up in the stat sheet is her on-ball defense, whether it's been on Johnson or on Street. That time she and Q Morrison switched, and Street gets the open three.
Second three for Street, third for Kennesaw State. Street now in double figures. Owls down 13 with just under 5 to play.
So Kennesaw settles back into that 2-3 zone, leaving that high post open, and UGA still has not been able to knock it down from there.
Hoover the rebound for Kennesaw State. Street wants the ball, To the corner it goes instead. Now Street gets it on the wing. Inside shot blocked by Stady. That was Legister in the ball game.
Inside, Q Morrison gets caught looking down low. Street repositions, wide open for the 3 in the corner.
Street launches another 3 and canned it. Back-to-back 3-pointers by Kamaya Street, and the Owls are down only 10 with 4 to play.
Well, if you UGA, pick your poison. Are you going to let Poole continue to go one-on-one in the low block? So UGA sends the double from ball side, and that allowed Street to be open for the 3. Again, the 2-3 zone where Kennesaw is really packing it in the lane, trying to keep Stady from getting the low post touch.
5 on the shot clock for Georgia. Goes to Paul, who hasn't scored tonight, and she bangs it off of Legister's leg.
So Poole gets position. Connolly comes to double down. Street does what a shooter should do, and that's spot up and knocks down that 3.
Substitution here. They get Poole out of the game on the inbounds play with 1 second on the shot clock for Georgia. So the Lady Bulldogs got to move quickly here. Inbounds and will not count the basket. Caldwell did not get it off, and a shot clock violation for Georgia. But a foul may have been called.
Matt, we had the official underneath call a foul. We had the trail official call shot clock violation. So as good teammates do, the officials are getting together to talk it over.
So they're going to the monitor. So they're going to go check on the monitor to see if the foul came before the shot clock violation.
Man, it was a full second on the shot clock, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so I gotta believe, I mean, you can catch and shoot in one. Now the key is there, she kind of did a little drop step to get to the rim.
Yeah, we gotta be able to see the clock.
Yeah, I think if Caldwell was just caught and shot, I think she had plenty of time. But
Right.
The fact that she took that step towards the basket, great call by the officials. And I know a lot of fans do not like the replay. But in my opinion, as long as you can get it right, it's worth the time.
I love the replay. I love the replay, to be quite frank. You know, I mean, I don't like the delays that come, but I like less than missing calls.
Absolutely.
So I'll take the delays if they get the call right anytime, and that's with all sports.
And so by clarification, Tim Daly came over and he said the foul occurred after the shot clock violation, which is why Kennesaw's ball going the other way.
So Poole will come back in now to play offense. So you got Poole and Street on the floor now. They have combined for 33 of the Owls' 60 points. So Street working against Conley here, and Poole calling for the ball, working against Ball. Street gets it back, pulls up in the lane, and the rebound by Conley. She got fouled by Street, and if that indeed is on Street, she just fouled out.
It's unfortunate to miss a shot, but you never want to compound it with a foul. And this is where you can just tell Street's been frustrated the better part of this half. Misses the shot, follows it, and at this point, UGA clearly has the ball. You need to just get back on defense.
Okay, so they've called the foul. I thought it was on Street, but it might be Poole. Either way, they've had a player disqualified here, and I believe it's going to be on Poole. So Street has not fouled out, but Poole has.
And Kennesaw State gets their team together before they sub back in and basically uses it as a timeout to get them solid again on defense, trying to get a stop.
So can Kennesaw State complete the upset bid here with Poole on the bench for the rest of the night?
I think it's going to happen. I think this young lady with the ball, Johnson's going to have to step up offensively and knock down some shots for them now.
Hoover comes around the curl to get it.
This is the defense of UGA. They are forcing Kennesaw so far out away from the basket in order to try to execute on the offensive end.
At what point, if you're Agnes Baronato, do you just keep Street out there on the floor?
You know, sometimes coaches are also trying to teach lessons. And so I think Street at times has played outside of herself, outside of the team, trying to force things. She's not coming at it from a bad position, but just trying to do too much. So it could be a matter of sending that message, or it could just be right now more offense-defense substitutions.
So Kennesaw State cuts it back to 10 with 2.5 to play. So Street and Gianola, so their top 3 scores. Poole, of course, is fouled out. Gianola and Street, the other 2, are on the bench. So if there's going to be a big upset here tonight, it's going to happen with those 2 players sitting over there right now at least. Conley missed the floater, and last touch by Georgia. So Street comes back in. And now Gianola will come back in. I think at this point with 1:57 to play, it's me, just me, I got to keep him on the floor.
Well, I think right now, what I can guess is Kennesaw State's wanting to go big in their zone and have more height on the back line. So she's gone with Avram, gone with Legister down low instead of Gianola. But for offense, you got to go with Gianola. You got to get your senior on the floor.
She gets the ball, working against Paul. Drop step and banked it in, and that's exactly why you got to keep her in the game. That's 14 points for her. Kennesaw State is down only 8 with 92 seconds to go.
So right now for UGA, you just want to milk some time off this clock. That's not what you want. You want to get a high percentage shot.
And a kickball on Kennesaw State. Missed a great opportunity right there after Stephanie Paul coughed it up.
Kennesaw being very patient, and Johnson, as she's done all night, just being steady and under control, knocks it down.
Conley got an open shot. You just can't do that. And you've been talking about it. Coming off those ball screens, you can't play under on her. She's going to bury you all the time.
But I'll also say, when you took that shot, I was like, no, work some more clock. That's one of those as a coach, you're like, no, 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 yes. But she's had the hot hand, and she felt it, she knocked it down.
Off the hands of Legister right there. Now watch, they go under the ball screen.
I said in the open, on-ball screen defense would be huge, and Conley has made Kennesaw State pay time and time again by going underneath.
Yeah, I correct myself right there. They didn't go underneath, they just tried to go through.
Well, and I think that, again, that's a young player's, I'm going to say, fail-safe on defense, as you run into the screen versus avoiding the contact.
And Baronato out on the floor. And after Stady gets the bucket, this should put it out of reach with Georgia up 12 now.
Well, it was a great read by Stady with the on-ball screen on the strong side. She just slips to the basket because everyone rotated over towards the ball. Great find by Maya Caldwell.
As I mentioned earlier, this is the first of 6 consecutive games at home for Georgia to start the season. Next up on Wednesday night next week, North Carolina A&T, followed by Georgia Tech, Mercer, Villanova, Upstate, and then Georgia's first road game of the season there, Thanksgiving, taking on Butler. But a great chance for Georgia to play at home in the first month of the season. All those games will be on SEC Network Plus.
Well, we've talked about, while some of these young players have played, this is still an inexperienced ball club. Only 3 players does Joni Taylor-Phil have been battle tested. That's Jen Stady, Gabby Connolly, and Stephanie Paul. So to be at home in your friendly confines, in order to get better, in order to learn, versus going in a hostile environment with a young team, sometimes you lose confidence. So this gives this team, this program, time to evolve and grow before they hit the bulk of those road trips against a good Butler team, Virginia Tech, and then, defending national champions at Baylor.
Difference of 6 seconds, game clock, shot clock. Final gasp here for Kennesaw State. Piccolino misses her three-point attempt. Georgia chases down the rebound, but Kennesaw State gets it back. Piccolino will go to the line.
Piccolino has had no quit in her tonight, whether it's been crashing the glass or knocking it down from deep. I love the fact that while she's been known as a spot-up three-point shooter, she attacks the glass there, gets to the free throw line in order to stop the clock.
In her first collegiate game of her career, 6 points, 8 rebounds, 2 of 9 shooting, and 1 of 6 on threes, and she's back at the line for the second time tonight. 1 for 1 at the line.
Well, the foul does a couple of things. It allows Kennesaw to stop the clock, and then hopefully if she makes it, it allows you to get in and extend your defense if you're going to do it. On the flip side, you got to assume that if she knocks it down, Joni Taylor's going to call timeout to advance the ball.
Caldwell comes away with the rebound. She gets fouled, and she'll go to the line. So Georgia's going to win this opener. Kennesaw State has played very well, though. A team that came here 4 years ago got run out of the gym by 42 points, and here they have stuck with Georgia the entire night.
I think when you're trying to change a culture, build a program, you're looking for those tangible markers. And for Kennesaw moving forward this season, I have to believe this is going to be one of them. You come into Stegman on your opponent's home floor and you battle the way they have for 60 minutes. No Kennesaw players should hang their head tonight because they have gone tooth and nail with this UGA ball club.
And here's another factor that Georgia has not had in recent years, a point guard that is an outstanding free throw shooter. Of course, having a point guard who is not an outstanding free throw shooter is a liability late in games because you want your point guard to have the ball in her hands at all times, especially trying to protect a lead. Georgia has that this year with Conley, who's now 5 for 5 at the line tonight.
You expect so much from a point guard. You expect them to be vocal. You expect them to be the hardest worker, the best condition. You expect them to make the right decisions. And Gabby Conley's done all of that tonight, and then some.
9 assists, only 2 turnovers, 26 points, perfect at the line, 6 rebounds. Great start to her all-SEC junior season. And Conley will have the layup attempt stripped out of her hands. She didn't have to do that.
Joni Taylor saying the same thing, no.
She had a wide open lane, and Joni, you're right, saying, look, you got a 13-point lead. Let's finish this thing out right.
2 seconds to go. Just dribble that one out.
Seven for 7 at the free throw line. And Joni Taylor will pick up her 82nd win as the Lady Bulldogs head coach. (80-65) Georgia with the win here tonight to start off this season with a 15-point victory. And I think Georgia takes a lot out of it, a lot of points, 80 points, that's good. They're going to be happy with that. I think Kennesaw State walks out of here pleased, disappointed they lost, but pleased with their performance.
Well, they battled. I mean, from a rebounding perspective, they got beat on the glass, but UGA is so much bigger than them. I thought they battled tooth and nail. For UGA, the 2 statistics that really stick out to me is the 10 three-pointers and only 14 turnovers.
Gabby Conley finishes with 28 and Maya Caldwell with 18. And now for my partner, Coach Christy Thomas-Cuddy and our entire SEC Network team. I'm Matt Stewart. Good night from Athens, Georgia, where the Lady Bulldogs win the season opener, an 80-65 victory over Kennesaw State.